Hello, everyone. Unlike last week, where Meg was hosting for All American, I'm now hosting for All British.
Logic.
So, welcome to another edition of Moisky Live. I'm Trump's LP, and I'm joined with, as always, by the lovely and moist Omega. Omega.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
Yes, woo. So, I mean, you got plenty to be wooing about today, I guess, right?
It's it's interesting. It's yeah. That was poorly timed. Sod's Law has
Yeah.
become a common occurrence now. Whenever I stream, I just cough randomly. My sincerest apologies to all those listening who heard that ridiculous excuse for a cough. So, there was an election, it happened, we have a definitive result with a huge majority involved. It's a big deal because a lot of the losers come from heartlands, as it were. Hang on, wait. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Oh, right, it's probably because we've got all these tabs open. Sorry, people. I'm just going to close tabs. So, yeah, we got a result. We now know who the Prime Minister is for the next 5 years. And that's fantastic if you want a bit of consistency. And that's great. Others are concerned because of what Boris represents. Some say because he's a free market capitalist, that means the NHS will get sold. I've said no, we have to wait and see, and there are issues there as well. That all aside, we'll get to that soon, I promise. How is Trups LP?
Trump's is doing all right. Trump's is doing okay. Trump's is he's been having a slow week, so
That's
you
good.
know.
It's about time.
Yes, very very true, very true.
I assume you still have a president at this point.
We do. It's a toss up though. I guess we'll flow right into it.
Yes, let's do that.
Our House Judiciary Committee, as of I believe this morning, voted on and approved two articles of impeachment for Donald Trump. Now, what that
Yay!
means, what that means for the vast majority of people who may not understand, that means that now that goes to the House for the whole House to vote on, and we go from there.
That's fantastic.
It's certainly something.
It's about time that your horrifically orange, purpley, whatever man president child was thrown out of the White House because he doesn't deserve to be there. By the way, I should say there was an article on Trump in the UK because Greta Thunberg, whatever, Greta,
Sure.
she was named Time something of the year,
Yes,
and
person of the year.
yeah, and so Trump obviously said something to her about her anger issues and all that, and then she air quotes here because this is what the entire article was about, trolled him good by putting a quote related to the anger issues in her bio.
Yeah, I saw that and I was kind of confused by how that was like,
Newsworthy.
you know how they make the joke of owning the libs kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like.
yeah.
It's like okay.
Yeah, and
Um,
Carlos in the chat, Lily Allen has been suspended from Twitter. No, unless that happened after she deleted her Twitter. For those who don't know, Lily Allen is a singer-songwriter, air quote the singer part, because it's mostly a spoken word of melody. It's like you speak, but with a little bit of a hum to it. She's one.
yes, of
She's
course.
one of the most privileged people you can think of, living in an incredibly expensive home, who has cried over the Labour Party manifesto, and then, I didn't mention this in today's video because I didn't think it was the right thing to do. Basically, called Britain racist, believing
Uh,
that Boris
uh,
Johnson only stormed to victory because racism and misogyny run so deep in this country. And this comes from an Instagram post where she said that some say it was Brexit, some say it was Jeremy. Personally, and I know no one wants to hear it, I think that racism and misogyny runs so deep in this country, and that Boris won because of his attitude towards those things and not in spite of them. Salty. Yeah, salty. So Lily Allen, by the way, that's not even a full name. Her full name has like 5 names in it. It's ridiculous. You are a quintessential middle-class child who was given everything by your actor father, and you basically went on to, be famous and rich and, live in a really nice home, and then bleat on about poor, defenseless refugees needing places to live, but when people told you, why don't they just stay at your place, you go silent on them. So yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, no, she wasn't suspended. She quit because she deleted it because of the backlash after saying the Tories won because of racism and misogyny running so deep in the UK. That's why she deleted it. I would say is quite, while she is well within her right to say it, it's perhaps a little bit too spicy, and just it just paints the picture that you're not quite in the right state of mind to have a civil conversation. I get it though.
And then,
excuse me. Yes. I remember after Donald Trump won, Jacqueline Glenn said, if you voted for a third party, you essentially voted for Trump. That is a direct quote from what she said. And it, to me, back then, I think I put it in the exhibition of stupidity. Because those videos were what I was doing then, and I thought it was hilarious. It was such a stupid thing to say, but it was very funny, because it was so salty. It's like, we didn't... it wasn't even that the right candidate didn't win, it was that he won. And, yeah, that kind of saltiness leads to, I think, interesting fallout. In the case of Lily Allen, she deleted her Twitter. Obviously, she'll be back soon enough, I'm sure of it. They always do. She was called up... Sorry. She was called up by Piers Morgan. She was called out by many people, actually. Because, yeah...
For those in the Americas, who is Lily Allen?
Lily Allen is a singer-songwriter who has been an ardent Remainer.
I mean, what is she famous for?
Music.
Besides that
Music.
one song that you mentioned?
Just music. Music. Oh, and because, and I did a video on this actually, because she, in a video a few weeks ago, she was crying over the Labour Party manifesto because of how good it was, completely ignoring the fact that that manifesto would mean she would pay more tax because she is one of the elite, because she does make more than 80 grand a year. She makes hundreds of thousands a year after tax.
Oh boy! I love being told down to.
She's one of those people. She's an ardent Remainer. She wants open door. It's just astonishing how she lashed out and then couldn't handle the criticism, so she had to walk away. But she was the one that accused an entire party and a country of being racist for voting for them, completely ignoring one of the key reasons why they lost, i.e. Labour and many other parties in the first place. So the overall result gave the Conservative Party a 80-seat majority. What does that mean, you ask? Well, of the 650 votes, they had 80 seats more than everyone else put together. That's it. Meaning they can effectively do whatever they want. Many have said this now means they're going to sell off the NHS. There is a possibility they may well try. But if they try, they have a problem. You see, one of the reasons they won so many seats was because they appealed to the disillusioned Brexit voters in Labour strongholds, and these are strongholds they've held for decades. They appealed to them because of how they were going to and claimed they would handle Brexit. But if you're going to appeal to the working class, the one thing you don't want to take away from them is medicine. And that is established. Boris has even himself said he needs to be more in the middle so he can be a united party. Now, I do tend to take the stance, I don't believe he'll sell the NHS. I don't think he will, but I also don't think he can. I think there are going to be issues if he tries. And the earlier mentioned little remark about those new voters he now has is a testament to that, because the majority is so vast. No one's had that majority since Margaret Thatcher. For the Conservatives, that is. Tony Blair utterly annihilated the Conservatives when he first came into power. And his version of policy was astonishing, because he never followed any of the protocol. He just threw money at everything and then bent over for George. With the seats that they've taken, they have to appeal and appease those voters, meaning he has to go into the middle somewhere. The NHS can't be on the table. If he does, I do tend to take the view, if he does, then yeah, he'll be a one-term Prime Minister, and the next Labour government will buy everything back, because you can't sell the NHS off. Even I think that's a stupid idea. The NHS is one of the few assets we as a nation have, and I would argue it's one of the best assets we have. I've regularly called it a black hole, because the way it's run, and I don't mean that in the sense of helping people. Excuse me. I mean it in the sense that because of how it is structured, because of the bureaucracy being as expensive as it is, the bill for that seems to be almost as high as that of the doctors and the care of the patient. Because of the way it is structured, it is something you throw money at and it simply vanishes. No one actually knows where the money goes. And that's a problem. Yes, actually, wondering, Lisa. Lily's there. Hang on, before I get to that, actually, Russell Burnham. Tell Trups Lily's dad was one who got minced in Kingsman the Golden Circle, and he's a. I don't mind him, actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Excuse me. Wondering, Lisa, didn't you get Hillary's tweet? This is all Russia's doing. I have seen the articles already, along with the mountain of accusations that Russia were involved in this as well. And that wasn't just Hillary. There were a number of Labour MPs also tweeting that out, which absolutely had me in hysterics. So back to the NHS, though. The argument, and it was a fear a few patrons on the server mentioned. I understand the fear. But Boris has said, and he's been caught on tape, at least I would say at this point, it has to be over a dozen times, where he has said the NHS is not for sale. Now, if he goes back on that, while it is not an ironclad pledge or something legally binding, and I apologise for the cough, right? If he does that, he's out. That's a fact. And I should point out, some people have said, but over the last 10 years, the Conservatives have sold off parts of the NHS. Yes and no. So, what people don't seem to... They had privatised certain services for some hospitals, not all, because they couldn't afford to run them because of austerity. They are in the process, I believe, of reacquiring those over time. Oh, that's just annoying. Hang on a second.
That's fine. Hi, everyone in the chat. Vol, Ross, Carlos, Prospero, Rubbishy Crap, sorry. Patriarch of the Sith, Overlay Clips. Nice for you guys all to be here.
Yes, my sincerest apologies for not saying hello. Hello. So, yes, we did privatise some services back in 2010, and they were sold off to companies like Virgin and subsidised, but not all, not even a huge percentage. It was for certain things we cannot afford to do. Right. So, the selling off of assets within the NHS, now that has a point. We did sell land that was not in use, along with buildings that were long derelict, because we're not using them and cannot afford to use them. Therefore, they should go. That makes sense, right? I mean, the argument could be made in the future. We might want to reuse the land and build something new. How about no? How about we sell that land so it gets used, and if you need to build a new hospital, you build a new hospital. It's not difficult. Although I would argue a lot of the newer hospitals are relatively good quality. So I wouldn't think that they would need to be rebuilt anytime soon. So we might be okay on that. And there is a point about people saying that Labour are accusing the Conservatives of selling off parts of the NHS. Labour have no leg to stand on. They have, in the past, sold contract Oh, actually, it's mentioned in the chat. They've sold contracts for private companies to run. Yes. To be fair, he's dead inside. Sorry, Prospero.
Always have been
I'm sorry.
since high school.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Okay. So, the Conservatives have a huge majority. That was the biggest concern many people that are on the losing side have thrown out. I believe on my server, Eden, she very kind when she was venting, mentioned that a lot of people, young people especially, were going to vote Labour, and that's great. But I mentioned this then that hello Teddy, a lot of people forget that we are an aging nation, and a lot of people are disillusioned with how 2016 has progressed. This majority means Boris can in fact now do what he said he was going to do, and take us out of the EU on the 31st of January. That's interesting, really. I would also point out with the NHS thing, and I don't want to stick on it too much. There's this, I don't want to say false dichotomy, but it does feel like it, where it seems like some are peddling the idea there's only two possible options. Either we have the NHS as it is, or we have an American-style version. But that we don't have an NHS under the standard that everyone seems to tout it as. It's not all public. It's not all free. It's not free in the slightest. We pay national insurance. That's how it's. Well, it's not all funded from that. It's funded from taxes as well. It's not free. That's a lie. So Labour, stop it. It's embarrassing. But back to the other concerns. So we have an ageing nation, alienated voters. People seem to forget the past. They forget that Labour screwed up so badly, monumentally, financially, in up to 2010 from 97. I was a kid, but I remember all of this. It was not like I got to live a good life. Hell, I find it fascinating. So many families have got to live knowing they didn't have to work, and there was my mother working 4 jobs just to put warm water and knock off Weetabix on the table. And I'm thinking, Labour are all about the many, huh? No, you're really not. You're actually disgusting. Prescription charge. That's a point. Yeah, I know about that. It'd be interesting to see how that progresses. SNP made some huge gains over in Scotland, and now she believes, Nicola Sturgeon that is, believes that this is a huge sign that they can leave the UK now and have another referendum. I would say to you, no, you don't. Get good, scrub. You're not leaving anytime soon, and even if you did, it would be illegally done, and you'd just not be able to join the EU because they wouldn't want our sloppy seconds. Just saying. Oh, jeez, Omega. No, I'm not saying that. And the tax... Yeah, okay, improve the tax climate for business, more tax... Yes. So, an argument just for the election, actually, as a video of John McDonnell sitting with the owner of Phones for You. They're a contract company in this country. Yeah, it's like where you get your cell phones from. You got to go over monthly paid contract services. And the owner said to John McDonnell, to his face, the Shadow Chancellor, if you try and introduce the tax hikes you're looking at that would actually be horrific, we're all going to leave your country. Excuse me, all the millionaires and billionaires are going to leave the United Kingdom. And he's like, no, they won't. What are you going to do, barricade the airport? They're going to leave on their private jet and saunter off to somewhere where it'll be cheaper, like Ireland. I only know this because Google send me AdSense from there, so I know they don't pay tax in the UK. Because it's cheaper. It's one of the lowest rates in the EU, in fact. In fact, it is the lowest rate in the EU for corporation tax. I know that because I did it in a video during the debate with Boris and Jeremy. Astonishing, really, isn't it? So yeah, SNP have made huge gains. They want another referendum. They're not going to get a referendum. Nicola Sturgeon, pipe down, you peasant. It's embarrassing you continue to ask for it. Moving on to Labour. They lost so many seats. they lost seats they've held for decades. They've lost seats, which actually I addressed some comments earlier in the week. I mentioned tactical voting last week, I think. And actually it worked. They got rid of their shadow, employment minister, Laura Pidcock, who was being earmarked to be the next leader of the party. And I sat back and laughed because I had no idea who she was. I just remember seeing her do a speech, and she sounds like a chav. I thought, yep, that's what you want running.
Yes, that great British classism.
I don't mind people sounding like a chav. Our speaker sounds like a farmer. But it's when you sound like a chav and you're trying desperately to appeal to people's humanity. And I think, of all the people to appeal to someone's humanity, it can't be the person who wouldn't look out of place outside. Well, is Burton's still a thing? Is that still a fashion trend here? Wherever it is, they sell the Burberry that isn't on eBay sold by Chinese sellers. But yeah, she was kicked out. She lost her seat. Many people lost their seat. In fact, another one that's rather amusing, not just Labour, but let's talk about the cucks. Do you remember the cucks traps?
I do. I do.
So,
it was a very poor acronym, if I recall.
Yeah. 1 second. There you go. That's for dibs. Right. So, the cucks, the Change UK Party, or TIG, the independent group. I prefer changing T for N and going with not independent group, because all they wanted to do was rejoin the EU. But apparently that acronym was taken. Okay, so of the MPs that were a part of that original group, and I'll include in this all the MPs that had the whip removed from the Conservative Party, right? Of all of these MPs that defected to the Liberal Democrats from Labour and the Conservatives, how many of them are still MPs? And I would give you a hint. It's less than 5.
2?
4.
Too many.
Yeah. But to be fair, the 4 that kept their seats were people that were given their whip back by the Conservatives and therefore backed by the Conservative Party. Others that stood down obviously don't count, but were in the list. But when it came to TIG, or the not independent group, yeah, when it came to them...
what does that even mean? The not independent group?
I was being...
are they actually... The independent group, is that what they're actually called?
Yeah, that's what they're called. I was going...
okay.
I'm like, not independent
I was
group.
like, who the fuck would name themselves the not independent party?
I think it'd be fantastic for them to call themselves not independent group. The acronym is just...
I mean...
to me, it's hilarious.
Cuck probably wasn't so great either.
No, but I think the other one's just funnier to me. And I just thought about it. So, the entire cucks wiped out. All of them. Gone. Those Liberal Democrats that decided, I'm a wizard, I'm going to challenge Conservative strongholds in London and appeal to their Remainers, because that's enough to swing the vote. Because London, as most people know, heavily voted to Remain. Forgetting here, that's a one-dimensional issue. They're still Conservatives. Why on earth would anyone want to vote for Chuka Umunna, a globalist Blairite who is now a part of, formerly an MP, now just a peasant? Some cocky idiot who could have been the leader of the Labour Party had he not gotten so upset at the idea of people being involved in his personal life when they found out he was a part of an all-men's club. Like that matters.
Oh, shocker. Like, the humanity.
Mm-hmm. He couldn't handle the attention that he was getting, and I thought, oh, well, yeah, another person earmarked to be a leader of the Labour Party, but then you hear his policy and you're like, goodbye. So, cucks are gone. Liberal Democrats also lost seats, which is fantastic. I love that when many of these MPs gave losing speeches, they they weren't very gracious. Some blamed aspects of their parties. Labour MPs especially, they just blamed Corbyn. Like, oh, it's all Corbyn's fault. It is. And you enabled that. Congratulations. Well done.
Especially with that whole anti-Semitism thing.
Yeah, it didn't help. Especially since, actually, that's rather interesting. Luciana Berger? She was a cuck. She joined them from Labour because of the lack of anti-Semitism being tackled. Herself, I believe, being Jewish, in her constituency tried to, or was it in a different constituency actually, appeal to a larger Jewish audience, and they're like, nah, fam, we're good. We're going to go with someone else. They should have stayed. Okay, continuing this. Former Attorney General Dominic Grieve, the person who brought forward a number of amendments that irked me so much during PMQs and subsequent debates, because he tried so hard to stop Brexit. He's out, and I'm so happy about that because he's such a twat. Oh, McDonnell is such a... Oh, he's such a tool. I love that he said he wouldn't... He's not ruling out running as for leader of the party, but nor is Jess Phillips. And I'm like, actually, I'm not totally against the idea of Jess Phillips running the Labour Party, because Jess Phillips against Boris Johnson gets views. Because she's so...
Damn.
She's so... not polarising, because it's not the people... It's not that aspect that interests me. It's how she responds to criticism. Because she is naturally quite vocal, or as I call my niece similar things, gobby. Like, if you give her criticism, her mouth will immediately open, regardless of if she has anything to say. Sound will come out, and you won't like it. It could be screeching, I don't know. And I don't mean autistic screeching, I just mean the sound of a freaking raptor. It's just... Jess,
I'm aware.
Jess just likes to, talk. And I actually don't mind the idea of seeing her against Boris Johnson, because both are characters. And when you look at the Labour Party now, it's not entirely sure who could lead. And to continue the Labour Party, actually, someone who kept their seat, Diane Abbott. So when she found out, and Nicola Sturgeon found out, that Jo Swinson had lost her seat. There's a video of this, of Diane Abbott saying, I believe, get in there. She said, yes, get in, when she found out Jo Swinson had lost her seat. Funny thing is, Jo didn't lose to Labour, though, did she? So it doesn't matter. It didn't help you guys in the slightest. It just got rid of the leader of another party that's so small and utterly pointless, it just made you look petty. Both of them have had to play the optic game of apologising, because obviously seen being like that towards another woman in politics is quite rude. Yes, Diane Abbott is still in Parliament. She has a huge majority in her constituency. Much like Corbyn, they're going nowhere. Okay, I fully expect Diane Abbott to eventually one day become Mother of the House. She is, in her constituency, utterly untouchable. And Keir Starmer, he holds his seat. Many people think he'll be the next leader of the Labour Party because of how intelligent he is. And I think that could be a really interesting debate with him and Boris. But if it's only on Brexit, then I'll be honest with you, that's it. Keir Starmer has no real track record or history on any other issue. Civil rights courts, yeah, sure. But then since he was, he wasn't he disbarred because he did something naughty? Sturgeon wasn't...
I don't know.
I think he was. Sturgeon wasn't gracious at all. It's why she had to issue an apology. It's why it's all so spicy and interesting to me. Because this is genuinely quite rude, but funny to me. Yeah, I don't mind this. But yeah, so... Other people to add to this would be the reaction over the night by John Bercow. John Bercow, as many of you know, is a Conservative MP and former Speaker of the House for 10 years. He has been used, and he was on TV with Sky News as a presenter for the election night. Excuse me. as news of the Conservative majority then came in, Bercow started to look really disappointed, upset, and almost like he was going to cry. This is the same guy who once said Brexit was the biggest error Britain had made in recent history. Knowing that the Conservatives now have an 80-seat majority and essentially can do whatever the feck they want, he's in a position where he can say whatever he wants, but Brexit's going to happen now, which is about damn time. Which would handily now lead onto Nigel Farage, who's stepping down as leader of the Brexit Party, because while they didn't win any seats, they won 2% of the voter turnout, which is 600,000... stupid dry cough. 620,000 votes, which is fantastic to win that many votes anyway. But they didn't win any seats. So, yeah. But he's still an MEP until we leave the EU, so he can pick up that sweet, sweet paycheck and expenses and whatever else. Him and Bercow had an interesting back and forth, which was actually quite courteous, which led to Bercow saying that during the discussion, he said he thought that one of Nigel Farage's arguments was the equivalent to, or was it absolute copper-bottomed rubbish, which I actually don't understand as a comment. Perhaps I'm too young to understand that one. I genuinely don't get it. But it was really interesting with them two on screen together talking, because they were talking about the peerage issue. And this is what led to it actually. Farage mentioned that Bercow mentioned to Farage that the Conservatives were trying to buy him a peerage, to give him a peerage to shut him up and stop him. To which he then replied, "Well, at least I got offered one, eh?" Because normally speakers are given a peerage upon leaving. Well, Bercow was not offered such a thing. So yeah, that was interesting.
Awkward.
Yes. It was a very funny to watch them, because there was no real awkwardness between them. They were just talking. It was a back and forth, and I quite enjoyed it. UKIP, they still exist. Who else is there left to mock? DUP lost seats to Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin don't sit in Parliament as a protest. So voices of Northern Irish people will be less heard. Let's see. Excuse me. There are more independents in Parliament. The Greens retained their seat with a bigger majority. In fact, Green Party got more votes this time. I think it was 80% more votes than they had in the last election or something. So they are actually getting better, but they've only got one seat still. But they're working on it, and that's progress. That's good for them, you know? Yes, Jessica did lose 2.3% of her vote, but she still retains her seat. So there's a potential here we could have 5 years of her as the leader of the Labour Party. I don't care who's in charge of the Labour Party. I care about the policies they want to announce or what they want to do, rather than just say, we just disagree with you because we're the opposition. I want them to provide something substantive as a reason for why they disagree. I'm not saying Jess Phillips would do that, but I don't believe anyone that takes over from Corbyn, based on Corbyn's decision earlier today, would be able to do that. So, with what Labour are going to do going forward, Jeremy's going to stay in office until a new person has been chosen or elected within the party. That's fine. That means we get maybe one or two more PMQs with him on the front benches before somebody sends him back to the peanut gallery. It could be interesting if, and the reason why he's delaying, I think it's the obvious one actually, if he delays long enough, it'll be somebody who holds a political view similar to his own. Someone I'm thinking he might go with is it Rebecca Long Daly? Let's have a look. Rebecca Long, is it? No, Rebecca Long Bailey. That's it. She looks like and I swear I've seen her in a cartoon somewhere. But she I reckon if anyone might take his place, someone might choose her. But I know that somebody said John McDonnell thinks the next leader should be female for Labour, because they've never had a female leader before. In fact, that's the one thing.
Probably wise to be female and Jewish.
Yes, that would actually be the real coup de grace, really, wouldn't it? I think with what Labour want, excuse me, yeah, so they want a female leader. It's also one of those things where it's something that can be held for a party that constantly touts how much it is about diversity and inclusion, and more women MPs in this election. They won some seats. They did win some off other people, which is great for them, and they're mostly women. Fantastic! Congratulations. You have a vagina. Now you have a voice. Now be a politician and don't make it all about your gender, and you're great, or your sex, whichever you want to go with. I don't care. It will be interesting to see who they choose, because they can't pick somebody that's just been chosen. That's not because it's against rules, it's because who would pick somebody that is literally unknown? They'd have to pick somebody either from the shadow cabinet or somebody who's been in the party for a while. There is another option, but I don't know. I'll check quickly to see if she's still there. There is an option of somebody... Oh, okay, she still holds her seat in Camberwell and... Oh, Peckham, Jesus Christ. And that would be Harriet Harman. But she's 69 years old, not much older than when Corbyn was in charge of the Labour... Well, he is in charge. He's a possibility, perhaps. She's a possibility, perhaps, sorry. Maybe. I don't know. She didn't get the speaker seat, but she was there in the mix for a while. Yeah, Lily Allen, screw it, go with them. Go with her. I know that Ed Miliband, former leader of the Labour Party, I think he kept his seat, but I think his majority... his majority fell from 2017's 14,000 votes, which is huge in a constituency, to just over 2,000 votes. So he should be touching cloth right now, because his majority has been absolutely demolished by Conservatives and Brexit Party. So he needs to fix that. So all in all, this has been quite interesting. Boris has made a statement. He went to see the Queen this morning. I watched the video of it as I was uploading a video about it. Blackford has kept his seat. The SNP are going to be there a bit longer. Another 5 years of paper pervert at least, which I'm so looking forward to. And that'll be good. Boris has then given a speech saying One Nation Conservative Party and all that nonsense. The usual bump, guff and other such nonsense. And now we wait for Parliament to start, which won't be until after Christmas. Which is great. It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be very interesting to see more PMQs from him. I mean, in the time I've been doing this, Boris has done, of the 3 PMQs that have happened since he started, he's done 2 of them. Dominic Raab was the other, and I'll quickly check. Let's have a look. Dominic Raab holds his seat despite an 18% Lib Dem surge. I know Jacob Rees-Mogg, he not only retained his seat, but he got a greater majority for it. In fact, I think most of his cabinet, all of them in fact, kept their seats except for those that stepped down. Priti Patel, she kept her seat. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, it's been quite interesting, really. I think there are a lot of people standing down, and people were worried about them. About one of the biggest concerns was that Jeremy would win. I was more concerned what we would lose in the process. My only genuine concern was that making sure 2016 was honoured, and the only person who said he would was Boris. And the moment that's done, we can finally get on to more important issues. And that's so important. And there are a lot of protests and riots. There'll be there'll be riots, I know that. It's amazing. One second. So, what does the Queen think? It doesn't matter. That's her prime minister. He is the premier of this country. He is the guy now in charge for up to 5 years instead of the 120 odd days he had before this happened. This was a huge gamble. Last time a snap election was called was 2017. And during that, Theresa May lost her majority. But she needed to do the election because of Brexit. There was a deadlock. And Boris did the same thing, but this time he didn't just campaign on Brexit, did he? No, he didn't. In fact, he campaigned on other issues. And I don't agree with Conservatives, I really don't, on many of their domestic policies. But I want Brexit dealt with first. And then we can start to work on the other issues that he has to take a middle ground on. He wants to continue the rollout of universal credit. That's interesting, because that is incredibly polarising in this country. It is right down the middle. My sisters have, one of them has it really good, oddly enough, and one has it really bad on it. That's really interesting, because then I get to hear both sides of this. Both in similar circumstances, and yet both have differing experiences. That's really interesting. I think if he does take the middle ground, he could secure even a second term. People seem to forget another thing. We've now had Conservatives in power for 10 years. Will be by obviously when turn of the year and all that. They also forget that means we'll have these guys for 15 years, and unless a decent opposition come up against them, and actually hammer them on domestic policy by showing a better way out, or unless our economy takes a huge nosedive, which might do with Brexit, it depends yet. Yeah, we don't know whether or not this could work out. David Lammy, Labour MP, many have heard of. He was on the BBC today, and I had this on in the background while I don't know what I was doing actually. I think I was restringing a guitar. I was listening to him talk, and he said that if Boris ignores he goes ahead with his current plan, is on his current path, his own analyses and experts have said this will not end well for us. But I think he's looking at it a different way to how Boris is looking at it. He's looking at it from an optimistic lens of, we can make this work, we just got to try. And then you've got David Lammy, who hasn't ruled himself out as a potential leader of the party by just being a massive nihilist. If Labour are going to attack Brexit on that issue, it doesn't matter anymore, by the way. The Conservatives have enough seats there and enough votes to get the deal through Parliament easily. We're leaving. We're now leaving.
If I remember correctly, the name David Lammy, if I remember, the context in which I know that name is because he's and I'll use British vernacular for this, he's a knobhead.
He is quite the knobhead, yes. People see him on Twitter a lot. He is quite vocal in his opinions. I'm not a huge fan, but I like him in politics because he's a knobhead. I don't mind that. Play us a song, Moisky Live, something appropriate like for Corbyn, like Loser. I quite like the song I've Got No More Fucks to Give, but I don't know it yet. It's a very catchy song. You should check it out.
Indeed.
So what did you think of the general election result there, Trups?
So I was watching it, not really exactly knowing what I was watching, because yesterday I was so sick and tired of watching judiciary panels that I was like, oh, general election, let's watch that shit. And all I got to watch of the live coverage was people counting votes, which is terribly exciting.
Oh, yes. And recounting in some constituencies.
But I was extremely happy with the results because I know that Trump and Boris work well together. Because I don't believe that the Senate is going to vote to impeach, I am actually looking forward to seeing you guys, one, leave the EU, and two, get into some actual good trade deals with the US. Because I'm really tired of this, like, hey, guess who our best ally is? That's not Canada. It's the UK. Cool. Ooh. So can we, like, ship things over there and not get taxed out the ass? No.
I wouldn't mind some of your alcohol. That'd be nice. Can't get
Yeah,
that
I
out
mean
here.
that's just one thing.
I would,
But even still,
I would say that the boogeyman argument of a Trump-style trade deal that compromised our quality standards and workers' rights and all that. Can we stop saying that now? Because it didn't work. Your fear tactic didn't work. It never
well,
does
the weird
work.
thing is that it's a fear tactic. Because okay, so at one point there was a protest in the UK
Hmm.
against Trump.
Yep.
Why? He's not your fucking leader.
No.
Like, do you realize like how bizarre that is? Like, that would be like the U.S. protesting, I don't know, fucking Bolsonaro.
Oh, Bolsonaro.
It's weird. It's weird. Like, it's not our country. Why are we protesting it? Our protests are gonna affect our country. Sure, if we got enough people and like peacefully protested a thing, but like our peaceful protests don't happen anymore.
Do they ever?
I mean, they used to.
I am looking forward to seeing what happens over the next 48 hours. If we get an actual timetable on Corbyn's departure, because he has said he won't be leader at the next election. He won't stand at the next election as leader of the party. I think it's great that we've finally got. I mean, I'm not Labour Party, if they were what they're meant to be, are a decent party. Labour Party at present are not a party I can support. That's not to say I support the Conservatives, by the way. And yeah, the chlorinated chicken argument. Jesus Christ.
I thought that was hilarious, though.
It's pretty desperate, I'll give them that. I don't see a point in using it as an argument because it just falls flat. You've still got to cook that chicken. What do you expect it's going to turn out all pasty or something? Are you out of your minds? Come on. This is nonsense. Fear tactics. They never worked on us before. Best example of that would be the bombing of London in World War II. Do you know what happened the next day? People in London went to work. They didn't give a shit. They went to work. No point, stopping. They're not going to be scared if someone says, "Oh, you got chlorine in your chicken." Has it still got southern fried spices on, though?
Yeah, it does.
Then we're still eating it.
Well, yeah,
Munch, 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 munch. Yeah.
Actually, you guys shut down the only Chick-fil-A that opened in the UK. So
Yeah, we do actually need to get Chick-fil-A. We got Nando's though; they're all right. I was hoping to get actually when I went to Norwich last week and I bought a sword earlier this week.
yeah, I saw that, and wasn't it Sting?
It's Sting, yeah. It's in the sheath and everything.
I'm so good. See, look at me,
Yeah.
I'm a nerd.
I was so happy. It's metal and it's really heavy. I was so happy, yeah, that was a good time. I wanted to go to Nando's then, but I spent all my money on Sting.
I find it amazing how it's like people in the UK are like, I bought a sword, I'm so happy about it, and Americans are like, yeah, let me I'm gonna go down to our local outdoor shop. Hey, look, a gun.
I would say I have two swords in my
And
room.
it takes a while for our background checks to process, and then we get to keep the gun.
Yeah, that sucks. Sting is not sharp, so that sucks. But my Herogrim is very sharp. Because I bought it long before the rules came in that blunted swords. I just need to find some hooks, wall mounts for a sword in sheath. That'd be kind of cool.
I mean, just get a whetstone.
I could do that too, but I don't want to. Not yet.
I guess.
Not yet.
I personally sharpen all my stuff.
I
have a bit of a collection myself. So.
Do you sharpen your pencils? Yes. Then you should
I
sharpen
mean,
your swords.
But the pen doesn't need to be sharpened. It's always on point.
Yeah. But I'm left-handed and I smudge, so I need the pencil so I can rub it all out again.
But don't pencils smudge too?
They do, but I can rub it out and do it again. It's fine. Again and again and again. Sorry if we've deviated everyone.
Insert quote here. I can rub it out and do it again.
Yeah,
from Meg.
clipped. I'm sorry if we've deviated massively there, but honestly, there's not much.
We've gotten it. we've got the thing.
Yeah, we're pretty much. There's nothing I can add to this election stuff because all we now know is that Boris has got 5 more years, and that we've lost a lot of MPs that Like, I genuinely didn't want to lose Dennis Skinner. Dennis Skinner? Yeah. There was another one as well. What's his name? Lost seat. I'll know it when I see it. Let's have a look. Remainers that lost their seats. Let's have a look. Is it on this list? Oh, it's Chuka Amuna, Anna Subri, Sam Gimia. I don't know. MPs that lost their seat. Right, let's go through this list. Dennis Skinner, Joe Swenson. Fuck off with that alert. Chuka Amuna, Dominic Grieve, Laura Pidcock, Chav, Anna Subri. Oh, that's amazing. Nigel Dodds, David Gork, Zach Goldsmith. Where's the guy who lost his seat that didn't deserve to lose his seat? MP loses whip, loses seat. He was an older MP. I think his name was not Dennis, but Frank, maybe. It's unfortunate there's a couple of MPs that didn't deserve to lose their seats, and they did. But they lost it because of the more to do with the national interest, really. Because, honestly, it just, yeah. Oh, Frank, it might be Frank Field. I think it was Frank Field who lost his seat that didn't deserve it. And, yeah, it was. He didn't deserve to lose his seat. He was actually a decent bloke. A very centrist politician, to be honest. But he was an independent after August 2018, so he formed the Birkenhead Social Justice Party, which is hilarious.
Ew.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, all those words together just sounded gross.
I know.
I'm sorry, but you guys have like a clusterfuck of words sometimes that I just hate.
I know. It's astonishing how ridiculous some of the names we have are, but they're ours. We're very proud of them. Yeah. Oh, I would say there's a fantastic load of memes cropping up at the moment the exit polls came in of Hugh Grant, who is an ardent Remainer actor. Most people have heard of him from them really shitty rom-coms. He was instrumental in getting people to vote for the Liberal Democrats and Labour, I believe. He saw the exit poll and he was not best impressed, which is the best thing I could see, because it's just very funny watching somebody who really wanted us to stay in the EU not get their way when they made their name in Hollywood, making millions abroad. Nice.
You know, I enjoy watching celebrities get upset about politics.
Yes, I do too.
It is one of the greatest things that I get to watch because it is so like devoid of self oh god, what is the word when you're aware of what you're doing? Self-awareness. Thank you. Fuck me, I can't believe I did not get that.
Precious.
Go me. I win everything.
Congrats.
And to think you people invented English. Yeah. But like, to be fair, they didn't figure out how to do it themselves, so they were like, hey, Spanish, French, Latin, you guys all have words. What if we took those words?
Yeah.
But I love watching like people like fucking Captain America like just flip the fuck out.
Some people go
I
surprisingly nuts about it. It's quite funny.
Yeah, I have a great time with that shit. But that's just a personal, little joy.
Nothing wrong with a little joy in this one, because it's all...
Yeah.
It's astonishing just how it all unravelled for all the major parties that thought they had a chance, because what they were trying to do really was just cause more division. And in doing so, they became the own instruments of their own destruction, which is brilliant. I'm okay with them destroying themselves, because now they have a chance to rebuild and come back as legitimate opposition, which is exactly what people need. They need a decent opposition, not what we were getting, which was just embarrassing identity politics. It needs to disappear and be replaced with people actually trying to affect change, and not people just trying to look good for the cameras while not resolving actual issues within their parties.
Or, more importantly, their own constituencies. Because remember, all these people who are lobbying for, party, appreciation, also have to remember that while it is beneficial for your own political benefit to, win a seat and get, an MP spot, you also have to remember that people put you there to help them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I really enjoy watching this.
Yeah.
Because fuck you to all those fuckers in the House of Commons who have been basically shitting on the referendum for the last 2 fucking years. Go fuck yourself.
I 100. Yeah. To be fair, yeah, you're done. Yeah, they need to. Those that lost their seats, enjoy collecting your P45s on the way out. I hope you do find prosperity in the dystopia you think we're now about to exist within. I personally don't care enough. You're all done. Congratulations. You're bums, essentially. Yeah, that's about it, really. I hope... Sorry about that. I hope you didn't mind, essentially, those listening, me just rambling for about 35 minutes. And that might be a personal best at this point. This election was quite something.
This was a good one. This was a long one that you did by yourself there. That was pretty good.
Yeah, don't do that very often, do I? Shame I can't ever do that in video format. It would have been a good video of me just ramble on for 30-odd minutes.
Sometimes I find that rambling, like in a stream is much easier than rambling in a video when you have no one else to go off of.
Yeah.
Like if you've got a topic that you know a lot about, streaming is just easier.
Yeah, it does. It does help, and there are so many people here this evening. Thank you, by the way, for all of you that have all of you that have turned up. Smash like, we really appreciate it. Because this is absolutely amazing how this has unfolded, and this is quite the Christmas present for me to.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's just so, spicy.
It's almost surreal, kind of, because you never thought that you would have to get here, but now that you're here, you're like, fuck yeah, go team.
I never thought that there would be 2 victories that I in the sense of Brexit happening and then somebody winning that says they'll actually do it, because no one else said they'd do it. I mean, some said they'd try and get it done, and when you saw their deals, you were like, no.
Theresa.
Yeah, Theresa, we're looking at you. You should be ashamed of yourself. Actually, she retained her seat, but with a diminished majority. Meaning she could well lose her seat at the next election, which is fine because your husband is a multi-millionaire, much like yourself, with vested interests in the continent of Europe. How unsurprising that you would then conjure up a god-awful deal. Dear oh dear. I think we're done here. Are we done here, Traps?
I think we're done here. I don't have anything to shill. How about you, Meg?
I'm not going to be doing anything over the weekend. I'm just going to chill, print. I've got nothing to shill at all. Expect videos on Monday. Traps' channel is linked down below. Go subscribe, because the more that do, the happier I am. I want to get into 1,000 at some point soon. Thank you all very much for joining us, and we'll be back next Friday. Say goodnight, Traps, I guess. Yeah.
Good night, Traps.
Hang on a sec. It's your sign-off, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Say good night, Meg.
Good night, Traps.
Oh, good. Yeah, thanks.
Worth it.